Hi guys, it's Lauren. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to me, again, my name is Lauren, and I'm healing my adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue by healing old emotional wounds from my early life, specifically attachment wounds, attachment trauma. And on this channel, I am teaching you all the things that I have learned on this journey or am learning on this journey so that you can heal your body. You can heal your past to heal your body and heal this illness, these illnesses of chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue, these illnesses that are so debilitating. I believe that they are at their core energetic illnesses because we are all energetic beings. Before biological and chemical and physical beings, we are energetic beings first. That has been proven to me over and over again as I heal this illness. So today I'm talking about this another way that I use astrology. Because as I was saying, we are all energetic beings first. And if you're watching my channel, and if you believe that energetic distortions and energetic issues might be the answer to your illness and how to heal it, then I feel very confident in saying that you are a highly sensitive person or an empath. You are a person that is on the end of the scale that is very sensitive to energies. And so this video really applies to you and me, people who are really sensitive to energies in the world, energies of other people, energies of environments, just how things make you feel, and the way you feel impacts, has a profound impact on your energy and your physical being. If that's true for you, even if you're not sure if it's true for you, if you're watching this channel, I'm pretty sure it's true for you. It's a pretty good guess that if you are interested in this information, that is a sign. Your higher self is telling you something that this is true for you. So if this is true for you, then astrology might be a really helpful thing to start to learn how to understand and use in this process, because the whole idea of astrology is that the shifts in the energy of us on the planet, the shifts in us related to the other entities in our solar system, the planets, the moons, the asteroids, us in relation to them is always shifting, always changing, and it impacts us. You and I can feel the energies. Everyone can, but particularly people who are highly sensitive and empaths, this could be really helpful to start paying attention to, because the way that the energies are shifting on the planet is impacting us. And it's what I have found is it's one of the things that actually prompts the coming up of certain emotions. When you have unconscious beliefs and old wounds that are stuck in your body, like the energy is stuck in your body, it's causing problems. And when you have an energetic clump causing problems somewhere in your body, a theme, some shift in the astrological chart at a given time might push at that a little bit and knock it up to the surface so that you can access it. And if you followed this channel, you know that what I talk about as the most challenging part of this illness, in my opinion, is being able to access the emotion and trying to figure out what is this emotion that has been stagnant in my body for so long that I have all these defenses to not feel. What is the emotion that wants to come up, but my body is the unconscious part of me is not letting it do that. So identifying what that is an essential part of this process, identifying what the emotion is. But again, it's so hard to identify because we have all these unconscious defenses that we built in our early life. So when you're going through this process, paying attention to the astrological shifts and learning about any particular shift that happens can be really helpful to start giving you clues on what could it be that's being disrupted, that's being moved, that's being, shaken in this moment in time. Because otherwise it just feels random. If you don't pay attention to this, it feels random, but it's actually not random. What I used to think it was random, I used to think it was just, you know, your soul picking, or your higher self picking whatever it was ready to heal in that moment, and whatever you were being triggered by on the outside. And that is true. That is a part of it. But a big part of it is also that what actually is happening that I was not paying attention to for a long time because I didn't know to, and I didn't believe in astrology, is that these shifts on our planet make shifts in our bodies because they have the energies pull at our emotional sense, our emotional bodies. And emotions are what we're trying to access. So I'm going to give you an example today in how I use this. And I'm going to give you the most recent example that I've gotten so much success out of. It's unbelievable. So I've talked a little bit on other videos about how, you know, I use full moons and new moons. I also use like weekly astrological readings that people that I have just found people that I find have really good intuition, and they're really accurate with what I'm experiencing, or they're really in tune with the experience that I'm having on a day-to-day basis, and they have amazing skills at reading the astrological changes. So I'll listen to weekly readings for that as well. With full moons and new moons, I go and I read what, if I have symptoms coming up when the days around a full moon, all of a sudden all this stuff is getting kicked up, then I can go and read about what are the themes of this full moon or new moon, what's coming up, what do astrological people say is being kicked up in that time. And often it'll give me some really good clues as to what emotion and what wound is being churned up in that time. What I've been paying attention to more recently are retrogrades. You know, the one that we always hear about is a Mercury retrograde. But what I had never heard about before this year were Venus retrogrades. So Mercury retrogrades are when, you know, the cultural information is like, well, don't make any big decisions. The mail's going to be late. Packages are going to be late. Emails aren't going to send properly. You know, watch out for tech issues. You'll have computer issues and tech, you know, stuff like that. Generally communication issues. I've also heard some people experience brain fog during Mercury retrogrades, which I will say I have. I started noticing this past year that I get brain fog during the Mercury retrograde. But contrary to what you will read on a lot of these things, I don't think that's inevitable. I think that happens because there's still a wound, there's an energetic distortion that I need to heal in my body, and when I do, a Mercury retrograde will not cause me brain fog. But that's just my personal opinion. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is a Venus retrograde that just happened. This video might be delayed, but it started December 20th, 2021. And I will tell you, I didn't pay attention to this. I pay a lot of attention to astrology now, so I had heard that a Venus retrograde was coming, but I just assumed that it wouldn't affect me very much because I wasn't aware that Venus was very prominent in my chart, and I had never noticed that I feel anything there either. So I just thought, okay, well, it's happening. I might notice a subtle thing, but no. The day before, it was the day that it started was a Sunday. The Saturday, the day before, I felt like $1,000,000. I was doing work, I was getting things accomplished. I felt great. The next day, and I thought I would be riding high on that for a while. The next day, the Venus retrograde started. I plummeted into a sea of, and I think I did actually mention this on another video, like a pool of shame and powerlessness and just like sacral chakra wounds. My sacral chakra symptoms all flared up. I had a ton of water retention. I had a ton of lymph stagnation. My kidneys stopped working as well. My adrenals felt a little weaker. My lower intestine slowed down. I had all these symptoms that are all sacral chakra stuff. Water retention in my face, and it happened, you know, water retention happens everywhere though, but I know that chakra is what rules the water and the fluids of your body. And so when the fluids get messed up, that's sacral chakra. It's something, the organs, the systems in your sacral chakra that are acting up, there's something being disrupted there. So when this happened, And this lasted for a few days. It was not just like a fleeting thing. I thought maybe it was just a fleeting thing. I thought it couldn't possibly be the Venus retrograde. I love to send out that doubt. I have such a pattern of doing that, and then I'm always proven wrong. And I love when I'm proven wrong. It's so fun. It's so fun to be proven wrong in these kinds of circumstances. But after a few days, then I started being like, okay, well, I mean, maybe I need to look into this. So I started researching about Venus, the Venus retrograde. What's it about? It's all about relationships, repair, reorganizing, reconnecting. It's sort of everything that starts with a like an R-E before of it. It's like that's the theme. But a really key theme are relationships. And so that's really where I started. I started playing with this idea. Well, if Venus represents relationships, you know, my sacral chakra, what I've learned over the years is that it's a lot about my relationship with other people. But the thing that impacts how I relate to other people is really my relation to myself. And so at its core, it's my relationship with myself. That's the thing that's being disrupted, being like examined and looked at, that I need to look at right now. That's in this sacral chakra wounded area that is part of my illness. So I worked on I kind of mulled over different aspects of what this could be, and I've been on a shame run. I don't know what to call it. I've been focused on shame for quite a while now. The shame wound, and I know that's in my sacral chakra, so I really have been thinking a lot about shame. But the thing is, and that did resonate for a bit, but the thing is, after a couple weeks, it started to feel like the shame wasn't covering it. It's deeper. There's some other aspect to it that I need to look at. And I did a video when I learned that underneath the shame is pain. That shame is not the core of the wound. Shame is a result of pain, some hurt that you have experienced in your early life. It might be a pain of rejection, abandonment. I'm thinking of sacral chakra wound pain points, not receiving the love that you needed at the time. So it's all they're interpersonal pains. But as a result, so it was a pain that happened in an interpersonal dynamic. That's sacral chakra, interpersonal. But your relationship with yourself is also interpersonal. And what happens is when you have like an intense pain from a relationship, an attachment figure, one of your core caregivers, what we often do is turn it towards ourself. That's the next step after the pain. In order to cope with that pain, instead of realizing that those are primary caregivers that are keeping us safe and loved, can't give you what you need, instead of believing that and taking that on, we often shift and turn it around on ourselves to believe, I'm not good enough, I'm the one that's bad, I don't deserve it, whatever nuance of that belief, that's where shame comes from, core shame. But you know, over time of having this pain and shame, of living with this, then these other strings come from it, these beliefs about ourselves. And there are all kinds of strings of like really intense self-doubt. There becomes a part of us that we loathe, there can be some self-hatred, just like a piece of us that we can't stand about ourselves, that we don't want to see. The self-loathing, but it could just be self-doubt, like I just don't believe that I can do things. I believe that I am less than, I believe that I am not worthy of love, or whatever it is, or worthy of creating financial abundance, or creating independence for my life, or creating a loving, nurturing, healthy relationship in my life. We all of these beliefs start stemming from them. So as I was thinking about this Venus retrograde, I was like, and Venus and what it all, correlates to, I started really feeling into the pain that's come from those resulting beliefs of self-doubt, and all the pain that's come from almost it's almost a self-betrayal of not believing in myself, of it's turning on myself. There's pain from that too. And it was really helpful having this magnifying glass from the Venus retrograde on this area, and I'm still in it. There's still more that I need to learn. But I'll say, in the last few days, I have really felt this need to really nurture, to do a ton of meditating, a ton of self-care, lots of time by myself, time on my bed with an eye mask on, just meditating and contemplating, doing different exercises, doing light meditations, doing healing exercises with my hands on my sacral chakra, and really feeling into the inner child. Because what I'm believing more and more is that the inner child, so much of the inner child lives in the sacral chakra. And what's interesting is that when you have a lot of abdominal distension, which is a sacral chakra symptom of like lymph stagnation and digestive issues, digestive stagnation, you end up looking like you're pregnant. I mean, isn't that interesting? It's almost like your higher self is showing you there's a child in there. There's a child. Your inner child is in there. And she or he is unhappy. She's maybe not unhappy, but she's in pain, or he is in pain. And it's time to really hold space for that pain and nurture and hold her or him and nurture and love on that, but in this gentle way of not feeling like you have to do anything necessarily. It's more about what I've realized in the last few days, which made a huge difference. I'm so prone to this tendency of wanting to do, heal, and just like, and that's one reason that havening is so, I love havening, because it's doing, it's an action, and it's really helpful. But there are times when it's important to just, that a lot of the healing comes from just being. You know, being with the emotion that that inner child is feeling. Being with the emotion, being just feeling it, even if you're not like fully able to feel the emotion like super viscerally, you're aware that it's there. Once you're conscious of what it is, so, you know, when I identified, and what you can do this, that it was shame and self-doubt and some self-loathing, some betrayal of myself, some turning on myself, and again, that self-doubt is what's really like sticking to me. And what ended up happening is I was having all these sort of symptoms, like behavioral symptoms of powerlessness, when I wasn't taking action. I wasn't doing things. I wasn't doing my work. I was feeling all this repulsion to taking action, to change, to do things for my life. That is that powerlessness but in the powerlessness in the sacral chakra, which is related to self-doubt, that this belief that I can't change my life. I don't have the capacity. I don't deserve it, or I'm not worthy of that. That's sacral chakra. And once you identify those things, which learning about whatever retrograde or whatever astrological thing is happening at that time, when you learn about it, it brings conscious attention to what stuff might be going on. And then when you have that, then you might notice an urge to sit with them, just to be, just go through your daily life and just know that they're there. And have this energy of acceptance. You know, when we have these wounds, what our initial urge is to bat them away, because we know we're not supposed to have them, They shouldn't be there. It's not good. It's not healthy. Like, stop. I shouldn't be feeling this. I'm gonna distract myself. I'm gonna shift. I'm just gonna do something. I don't want to, like, stop feeling that. That kind of energy. That's exactly the energy that has deepened the wound there. And I am the first person guilty of this honestly, I mean, I've been struggling with this for years, and I'm finally at a place, though, at least during this, I've just noticed that I was actually wanting to just be with it and have this energy of acceptance that it's okay to feel this. There's a good reason that you feel this. And you actually should be feeling this because it's the proper response to whatever wound caused it in the first place. Even if I don't know consciously what exactly the thing that caused that wound is, to believe that our emotions, we don't assign emotions unfairly. Like, if we have an emotion, there's a really good reason for it, and trusting that we're not flawed, we're all human beings, and when we have an emotion, it's worth it. There's something deserving of that emotion, and so it has a right to be there, and it's serving a purpose for us. And so having that level of acceptance and almost gratitude for the emotion sitting there is huge in the healing process. Because, I mean, if you think about what a child needs for emotional development, what they need is for you not to, when they have an emotion, if they're angry or they're sad, they don't need you to say, oh, it's okay, it'll go away, look on the bright side, it's all right. I mean, positivity is great, but what they really need is for you to be there with them while they're feeling that emotion. So they're sad, and you can give them empathy, and you can say, it's okay to be sad. You need to feel sad in this moment. The sadness will pass, but I'm going to sit here with you. I'm going to be here with you while you're sad. And that can be hard to do, even with a child, but we're much more willing a lot of times to do it with our children than with ourselves. That is definitely true for me. I will tell you, it's very difficult for me to do it with myself. That's why I'm learning this now. So with these sacral chakra wounds in particular, I'm noticing, because that's where my inner child lives, and it might be where yours lives, that what's really important as part of this process is like giving all this space for the inner child to feel, just to be in that energy of the emotion. And what's amazing is that about 3 days of that, of a lot of meditating and time for myself and doing these things that I was describing, I feel so much more at peace. I feel inner peace. And I will tell you that a sign that an emotion's trying to come up and your unconscious is blocking it is you feel this unsettled, sort of icky, just like a little like disconnected, unsettling. It's an unsettling feeling. You don't feel content. You don't know what to do. You're just like, everything you do just doesn't feel satisfying. It's just this very core feeling of discontent. It's a good indication, I have found, that there's an emotion that's trying to come up and it's getting blocked. And so if you're feeling that, it might be a good time to go do some meditating or contemplating or just some sort of inner work. But it's really good time to go try some havening. If you have any conscious indications of what the emotion is trying to come up, try havening. I did some yesterday. I was feeling so discontent, I just felt like there's something just, it was reaching at the surface. And a couple times I had this inkling, this urge to cry, but then it went away. And I thought, gosh, is this sadness? So I started havening. I decided at the end of the day, I thought, this is enough. I can't live in this space. So I went and I tried havening, and I did havening for sadness. It wasn't bringing anything up. And then I tried shame. It wasn't bringing up a lot of emotion either. But then I started saying pain, and that brought some stuff up. That brought some emotion up, and it was interesting. It was a new kind, and it was a new cry for me. It had different physical manifestations than other ways of crying. I've talked about there are some cries, like when you're crying about grief, it's very common to have a sharp pain in your heart chakra, either on the back or on the front. But this was like, it felt like it was coming from my chin and it was like, I don't know, but it also felt like it was coming from my sacral chakra. It was like that area was vibrating as I was crying. It was very interesting. So I mean, that's just a side note, that you have different cries for different emotions, you'll find, and because they all work, they're all different energies and they're different frequencies. So you'll actually cry, you'll vibrate, your body will vibrate at a different frequency depending on the kind of cry it is. It's fascinating. I think it's fascinating. But I will make one more note that has been really helpful for figuring out, so learning how any given change in astrology is going to help you, is going to affect you, is to whatever planet or sign something is in, particularly the planets. If you look at what house, if you go and you create your natal chart, there are free ones online. I think there's a free one on like Astro.com or something. You can do your free birth chart and just keep that. Print it out or keep it on a place in your phone or your computer so that you can reference it, because when these things come up, what you want to do, so for example, this one, if Venus is, you want to look up where Venus is in your chart. What house is it in? What sign is it connected with? And especially the house, because that can indicate to you what region or what part of your life it might be being illuminated or disrupted or shifted in this event. So for the Venus retrograde, for me, when I look at my chart, Venus is in the 12th house and in Gemini. Now, I have not quite figured out the Gemini connection yet. This stuff takes time. It honestly does. At least for me, because astrology is so new to me, really, to really understanding this stuff fully. But the 12th house I found really interesting, because the 12th house is all about sort of the dark things, the things in the dark, I should say. The 12th house is about the unconscious, your unconscious beliefs, your unconscious fears, the things that almost haunt you. And, the 12th house can get a bad reputation depending on what you read out there. But when I read that, you know from watching me on this channel, that I have a very different relationship with my unconscious. That I feel like my unconscious is there to teach me things, and that there are things there that I want to make conscious and to heal, to feel, and that doing that is a huge gift and is creating all this fulfillment, this vitality and energy and fulfillment in my life of going into the unconscious and healing the things that are there, the wounds that are there. Obviously, there's tons of stuff in our unconscious that are not wounds, but to go in and heal the wounds there, because those are the things that haunt us. They're the things that create blocks in our lives that we can't figure out how to get through until we go and heal the wounds. And so, isn't it interesting, given what I'm saying about this illness and healing unconscious wounds, that this stuff would be coming up during the Venus retrograde for me, because Venus in my chart is in the 12th house. So first, I would be interested to know if there's something coming up, the next retrograde or whatever it is, look up what house that's related to in your chart, connected to in your chart, and see if that can help you give some information and some inklings into what might be shifting. Like if you get an increase in symptoms, particularly, that's what always prompts me to look into this stuff. Like if my symptoms get worse, I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's trying to come up? Because this needs to stop. Like the symptoms are miserable, and they're messages. They're messages from our higher self. It's supposed to be miserable so that we take action to do something to make it stop. So then I'd also be interested to look more into the 12th house, because when we're talking about this illness, this is all about our unconscious. And if the 12th house is all about our unconscious, it would be worth knowing for you what, if you find the 12th house, where the 12th house is in your chart, and then read what planet is there and what sign is there, and see if that can give you some clues into what might be true for you. What might the themes be in your unconscious that have some wounds that are contributing to this illness, or other difficult things in your life as well. So it seems that mine are about my relationships. My relationship, the key things for me with Venus is the relationship with myself, relationship with others. Because of my relationship with myself, my relationship with my inner child. The Gemini piece, again, I haven't quite figured out, but maybe it has to do with my ability to speak my truth and speak and communicate to, contribute to the world. Or maybe it's how I communicate with myself and how I communicate with other people. Maybe the theme is about communicating. And so maybe the shift in me communicating this acceptance is why it brought me some healing. It brought me healing in this little area, this little chunk of the onion, changing my communication style from judgment and wanting to fix and do to acceptance and letting go, letting be there, being with that emotion and just letting it stay there for however long it needed to be felt and just sit. It's fascinating. I'll give you a really quick other example because there's another transit happening. Jupiter has moved into Pisces. And so what I've been working on is, what I've been researching a bit today is what this has to do with. Jupiter is like this expansive planet, and it makes things obvious and big and expansion. It's all about expansion. It's also about good luck. And I haven't had additional wounds necessarily that I've been aware of connected to that. I did with the Venus retrograde, but with this shift in Jupiter going into Pisces, I didn't really notice anything, but not necessarily symptoms with my illness, but all this sort of discontent around my career and my ability to take action to change my career, to shift my life work. And what's interesting about that is that I was looking it up, and where is Pisces in my chart? And it's in my 10th house, which is all about career. Interesting that there's something I need to learn here about the way I'm approaching this career issue. And this has been a theme of an issue for me for a long time, is that how my solar plexus energy, this ability to take action towards my career, and this past year I've made huge major breakthroughs, one of which starting this YouTube channel and making a course for resetting your nervous system, which, if it's available by the time you watch this, there will be a link to it below. But taking those actions, my ability to take actions, took years of healing this stuff, of changing my mindset, but more so of healing wounds enough, healing the self-doubt wounds especially, and the solar plexus wounds of helplessness and powerlessness, but the root chakra wounds too, because they're all connected. The root chakra wounds of feeling safe in my own body and my own life and my own sense of agency and sturdiness in the earth and in feeling safe in the planet. And for me, maybe it's not physically safe, maybe it's emotionally safe. Like, how do I feel emotionally safe? So isn't it interesting that this increase of discontent and sort of push and pull of why am I having trouble taking action all of a sudden? It's probably this. It's this relationship of Jupiter and moving into Pisces related to my chart. And where do I still have old wounds that are impacting my ability to come into the world? So I'm only giving my example because I can't see your chart. I don't know, but I'm just trying to explain how I use these themes. So you look at the planets, you look at the signs that are in whatever is shifting. So if you learn Jupiter is moving into Pisces, first you look up the themes. and just read like an article on what is Jupiter in Pisces, what are the things that might be coming up as themes. And that alone can be really helpful, just reading the general descriptions if you find a good one. But then the next step to see how it personally relates to you is to look at your birth chart, your natal chart, and look at where is Pisces in my chart and where is Jupiter in my chart, and what are the themes of those houses and where it is in my chart. What are the things that are the houses that are connected, and what are the themes there? What could this be? What are the themes that are the Jupiter in Pisces shift in general, and how do those relate to me through the themes of the houses that's the houses and the signs that they correlate to? Is so helpful. Once again, because if you have this illness and you think it has energetic causes or contributing causes, then you have all these blocks to these unconscious wounds to protect you from feeling those wounds. And as a result, we have to really work to identify, see these wounds in order to bring it up enough to feel it so that we can heal it. We can heal it with acceptance. Now I know this. Acceptance and feeling. Acceptance and just holding space. We can also heal it with havening. We use these tools, and astrology is another tool. It's another tool to help us become conscious, because the becoming conscious part is such a hard step in the process for the reasons I just said. So it is so helpful to have all this information, and there's tons of information about astrology. There are tons of astrologers out there. And so there's tons of help to try to figure out what is coming up in this moment so that you can identify it, you can see it, you can understand the story around it, what were the causes, what were the circumstances, maybe like create, identify how it has been in your life, the ways that it's manifested in your life, and really try to draw that out, draw the pain out of there so that you can feel the emotion and use havening to move it through your body, up and out of your body. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I find astrology so helpful. I can't say that enough. So I hope that was helpful to you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night or wherever you are in the world, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.